This is your average supermarket bird, and I'm not going to poo-poo it. It does have a use, so let's show you a couple of added flavour things here. What I'm going to do is do a Maryland first. I come through this thigh crease. Just make some little nicks, and there's a couple of important things here. I want to leave enough skin on the breast so the breast is usable, but I also want to maintain the oyster meat onto the Maryland. So I just bust him through the joint and dislocate, and then follow carefully round with my knife, and I'm going to try and grab that oyster meat, and that's the bit you're all familiar with that everyone jumps on the empty carcass. And then I'm going to pull this back. All I've got to do is cut through that little ligament and just peel him off. Okay, so now that one there's called a Maryland. So let's move on to the breasts. Let's release the breast from the breastbone. And I'm down near the wishbone now, and I'm not that concerned about this end. Just sort of following down the carcass line. I would do this a little bit in more of one cut usually, but it doesn't hurt just to nestle your knife along and just release. Just got to release that little bit of sinew, and then you're free. And now you've got the decision to make here. Do you want to have the wingtip on or off? So we'll do both. So I'll come down, and once again it's a dislocation of the wing joint. So just a little cut, and we've got a beautiful breast with a whole wing on. Now to turn that one into a supreme is quite simple. All you have to do now is joint here. So you're leaving one bone in. So to turn that into a Kiev means I have to clean up the bone, I have to French the bone. So from supreme to Kiev, come down here and just clean it up. And all this does is means when you use this bird, you have that extra little bit of presentation on it with the wingtip just sitting up. Or I can rip it off here, and that needs a bit of a trim of sinew and fat just to get a shape. That's basically a Kiev cut. And what you would do with that is it's still got the nice bit of skin, so you could ram something under there for flavour, or alternatively you could put a pocket in there by putting your knife down and just making a little hole in here. And what you could do with that is stuff some nice butter down here, or you could stuff some herbs. And the beauty of that from a chef point of view is that you still maintain a very sort of low-key looking dish, and then you've got a little bit of a surprise whack down the middle here. So I talked about added flavour, so you've got a couple of options here. This meat is brilliant for curry, brilliant for stir fry. So let's do a couple of things here. First of all, I'm going to take this drumstick off. Now, this is the best meat you can possibly use for a quick stir fry, and the reason is thigh meat is juicier. It takes the heat better. I wouldn't even consider using breast meat in a stir fry. I think it's dry, and I think it's actually a waste of money, but that's just personal. So remove the thigh bone, and you're left with this. Now, I'm a fan of skin on, but that's your call. To cut it up for a stir fry, basically you need to see which way the grain goes. So let's go across the grain. And these are nice little bite-sized pieces for maybe a noodle dish or something. Now if I was going to do something else, I could do a ballantine. A ballantine is basically a tunnel-boned thigh, and the hole that I make in there, I'm going to stuff with something. And it's a great way to get some flavour into a manufactured bird. Now, imagine that's your kneecap, and you've got to get all of your meat off your kneecap. So just keep following around, and it's a combination of peeling, slashing, and scraping. So just release, and then come down here, and get around the knuckle joint, I'm not a butcher, so all of you butchers out there that are laughing at me, that's fine. I just know that I can get a good result just by scraping this meat down. And I like doing this. I think it's a brilliant way to present a bird. Trying to keep as much meat as possible. Now, I'm a particular fan of leaving the end bone on as a little cork. And basically what we've got now is an inside out leg. So once again, let's nip that off. Try and be clean with your cut so that who you're feeding doesn't choke on a little bit of shattered bone. And what I've got here is something fairly special for me, that I turn him back out. And what I would do with that is stuff down the middle all of my yummies, whatever I want to stuff down this hole, and then fold it up and then do this and set him in the fridge till he's nice and cold, and then straight into the oven to roast. And to me, that's a beautiful presentation. And then I would probably, when it's all cooked, slice across and you get this beautiful cross section of a chicken thigh with a stuffing in the middle. The cost of this on my bird is probably running at about $1.50, and I've got that beautiful meal if I chuck a few little bits and pieces in of the best meat of the chicken.